You're on now, Mr. Mayor.
Great, thank you. Here we go. So let's get ourselves going. This is the Ellensburg City Council meeting for the evening of Monday, April 5th, 2021. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Council Member Engel. Gotcha.
Okay, I have to like plug my ears because the circle screws me up. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag,
of
the United States of America.
and to the republic
to the
for
republic
which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you. So if let's now. Oh, very good. Well, okay, let's go then to roll call.
All right. Engel.
Here.
Goodlow.
Who is here? Nancy G, we lost her.
I'm here.
Nope. Okay.
I was muted.
Lamb is here.
Lilquist.
Here, and I apologize, I didn't get unmuted for the pledge. I
Miller?
did stand.
Miller is here.
Mary Morgan is not here. And Tab.
I'm here. There's a request for an excused absence for Councilmember Morgan.
So move.
Second.
So a motion and second for to grant an excused absence for Councilmember Morgan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. Vote aye. Then motion carries. Thank you. That brings us then to our proclamations for this evening. The first one is National Child Abuse Prevention Month. We have the Executive Director, Sandy Bankston from Court Advocates, CASA, who's agreed to read the proclamation. So if you would, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready. The City of
Let's do
Ellensburg Proclamation, National Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2021. Whereas child abuse and neglect are serious problems affecting every segment of our community, and finding solutions requires input and action from everyone. And whereas our children are most valuable resources and will shape the future of the community in which we live. And whereas child abuse can have long-term psychological, emotional, and physical effects that have lasting consequences for victims of abuse. And whereas protective factors are conditions that reduce or eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and developmental well-being of children. And whereas effective child abuse prevention activities succeed because of partnerships created between child welfare professionals, education, health, community, and faith-based organizations, businesses, law enforcement agencies, families, and whereas communities must make every effort to promote programs and activities that create strong and thriving children and families. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work together as a community to ensure awareness about child abuse and contribute to promote the social and emotional well-being of children and families in safe, stable, and nurturing environment. And whereas prevention remains the best defense for our children and families. Now, therefore, we do hereby proclaim April as National Child Abuse Prevention Month and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses in the city of Ellensburg to recognize this month by dedicating ourselves to support families, thereby preventing child abuse, and strengthening the communities in which we live.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council,
I move for the mayor's signature on the proclamation.
Second.
we have motion second for the mayor's signature on the proclamation declaring April 2021 as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. Any comment? I would just say actually a couple things. I was around downtown, and Kaze right now has a campaign that speaks to keeping children safe, all children safe in our community. And I would simply recognize that we can do nothing better to ensure our future than to create an environment in which children grow up free of fear, free of hunger, and free from pain. So I appreciate the work that Kaze has done through the years. I appreciate the opportunity for this month to be recognized as National Child Abuse Prevention Month. With that, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 I too vote aye. That motion carries. That brings us then to a second proclamation. This is National Safe Digging Month. I want to be very clear that this did not come from the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Subcommittee. But I don't know who's going to read this one. Does anyone want to read it?
I could take a read.
Okay, David.
All right. This is the City of Ellensburg proclamation for National Safe Digging Month, April 2021. Whereas April marks the start of the spring digging season for homeowners, landscapers, and construction companies. And whereas failure to locate underground utilities before digging may result in unintentionally hitting underground utility lines, pipes, leading to penalties, repair costs, inconvenient outages, injury, or even death. And whereas Washington's free 811 one-call service notifies the appropriate utility intent to dig. And whereas the one-call center dispatches professional locators at the requested digging site to mark the approximate location of underground lines, safely alerting the dig crew of the potential danger below. And whereas all residents and professional excavators are required by law to call 811 at least 2 business days before they dig. Now, therefore, be it further resolved that the City Council does hereby proclaim the month of April as National Safe Digging Month, expresses its appreciation for safe digging practices, and the Washington 811 call before you dig one call center that contribute to safer community and limited excavation damages. Signed this day, 5 April 2021.
Great, thank you. Council,
I'll move to approve mayor's signature on the proclamation.
Second.
Second.
the motion second to for the mayor to sign the proclamation declaring April 2021 as recognizing it as Safe Digging Month within the city of Ellensburg. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I too vote aye. That motion carries. Thank you. That brings us then to approval of the agenda.
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I too vote aye. That motion carries. That brings us to the consent agenda.
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So a motion and second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I too vote aye. That motion carries. Thank you. That then brings us to petitions, protests, and communications. It's not on our agenda, but I would ask that this would be perhaps Dr. Larson could give us an update on the status of the COVID battle and what's occurring in our community and county.
Thank you, Mayor Tab and council members. Mark Larson from Public Health. I'm going to start off with some good news. I'm going to kind of dovetail into some disturbing news, and I'm going to end with some good news. So the good news is we have almost 20% of our residents in Kittitas County fully vaccinated. That is a phenomenal number. It's about 20,000 shots that we've given in Kittitas County. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's in Kittitas County, we have 19.61% of our residents fully vaccinated. In Washington State, 16.9%. So our emergency management team, the immunization group are doing an incredible job. And I would encourage anyone to go down and become vaccinated and to take a look at kind of how that whole process is working, both at the fairgrounds and in Upper County. We continue to get vaccine into the county, less Pfizer, and that's a little bit of problematic, but less Pfizer. We're getting some Moderna, continuing to get Moderna, and we are getting Johnson & Johnson vaccine. We have vaccine clinics going on this week. We will be doing a Johnson & Johnson vaccine clinic on Saturday. It filled very quickly as soon as we opened that. That's the one shot, one and done vaccine. We're doing 200 vaccines to see kind of how that goes. But that's it's really hopeful that we have lots of vaccine coming in from the federal government. The other positive thing that's happening currently is the schools are opening, both K through 5 and 6 through 12. The K through 5 we're able to open due to the CDC looking at data that basically in regards to droplet transmission of disease says that 3 feet is equivalent to 6 feet, and that K through 5 kids really do not transmit disease amongst each other or to others, to adults. And so they're able to get more kids back. So all of our school districts in the county are going K through 5 fully open. The 6 through 12 is a little more problematic because our numbers are high. So our incident rate number, the last from March 9th through the 22nd, we were at 244.8, and the CDC considers high incident disease above 200. It's the same issue that we had last fall when when all of our school districts opened, when the CDC said you shouldn't open if you're above 75 cases per 100,000 for 14 days. And due to the hard work that was done at the schools, with the kids really doing a really good job with masking, with teachers doing a good job of encouraging masking, hand washing, and that social distancing, we really have not had any outbreaks of COVID-19 disease in the county. At school, in school, we have had 138 cases of COVID-19 in school since the beginning of school, which included staff, teachers, and students. So Ellensburg School District is still struggling with 6 through 12 to see if they can really fit in enough kids. There's some question about whether or not they can cohort, put groups of kids together. The issue when I spoke with the school district last week, as well as the teachers union, the thing that's different from last fall is people have a vaccine that they can get. So that's an encouragement to the teachers and the staff. If they're really worried about bringing disease home from school, all they need to do is get vaccinated, and they are currently available to be vaccinated. As of next week, April 15th, everyone 16 and older can be vaccinated in Kittitas County. So that's a great thing. and that dovetails back to what I was saying about Pfizer vaccine. Pfizer is available for kids, or for young adults 16 and older, where Moderna and Johnson & Johnson are 18. So I've asked the state for more Pfizer vaccine because we really would like to, since we're getting all of these middle school and high school students back, we'd like to get them vaccinated, get the people who really want to be vaccinated. In the summer, we'll probably have both Pfizer and Moderna vaccine for 12 and older. So for the fall, it's less of a problem vaccinating the middle school and the high school kids. But for right now, we're stuck with just going down to 16. So those are all the good pieces of news. The bad pieces of news really have to do with reopening. We're currently in phase 3 of the governor's phased reopening plan. As you know, he opened fully the whole state into phase 3, knowing that there were going to be counties that were going to need to be moved back into phase 2. The dates for looking at those numbers are April 12th, but because the governor and the governor's staff want to make sure that they have all the data that they need to actually make those decisions. The data collection actually starts tomorrow on April 6th, then goes back 14 days from then. The metric we need to meet to stay in phase 3 is less than 100 cases over a 14-day period, and new COVID hospitalizations over a 7-day period of less than 3. We're meeting the hospitalization data, but we have had more hospitalizations, and actually more hospitalizations of younger people. But I calculated our numbers from today, going back 13 days, and we're at 111 cases. We still have a day to collect cases. So we are sitting, those aren't final numbers. Those are our numbers at the county, and that may change some, but I believe that we probably will be moved back to phase 2. That has some effects on businesses. It has effects on amounts of people that can be in certain restaurants, bars. It has a big effect on youth sports and things like graduation. But we will be re-looking at that data in another 3 weeks, and we're right on the bubble. And I really think that people in Kittitas County realize that. I've been talking about this for weeks, and that as long as we continue to work on getting people in and getting people vaccinated, then the numbers of cases will continue to go down. But we're not really sitting in a very good place currently. The other thing that's not really in a very good place is that we are seeing a lot of variant disease in Washington state. It's predicted. Right now, we're seeing about 30% of all cases are the B.1.1.7 variant, which is from initially found in Great Britain. But we're also seeing about 50% of the cases that we've been sequencing are B.1.2.7 and B.1.2.9, which are the variants from California. 1.4.2.7 and 1.4.2.9. And all of those variants are more infectious and actually more deadly. And those are that's the disease that we're seeing in the hospital. So I believe, so this gets back to good news, I believe we'll be in a good place in the summer. I think the next 4 to 6 weeks will be really critical for us to continue as a community to do the right thing, which is continue to be vaccinated, continue to wash our hands, continue to wear our masks so we can get all these things back and going for the summer. But we are in a precarious position. And if you look throughout the state of Washington, we are not alone. we're kind of in the same position as our Region 7 partners, Grant County, Chelan, Douglas, Okanagan. Whitman County is similar to us because of WSU. Yakima and the South Central region are having a rough time too. So, but we're really reaching out very aggressively to get folks vaccinated. The vaccine team has a mobile unit coming into Upper County. I believe it's May 1st, and they're going to be using Johnson & Johnson vaccine. So that'll make it really easy to be a one and done. And I think the plan is to do 500 dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine in Upper County. So my ask is for people to continue to be cautious and optimistic, but give us another 4 to 6 weeks and I think we'll be there. And I'm open for questions.
Great. Great. Thank you. Questions, Stacy, and then David.
Dr. Larson, there seems to be kind of some mixed messages in the community about if people should wait until their phase is met, or if it's just everybody that wants a vaccine now should sign up. So what's the answer there?
So as of April 15th, everybody's available. So then it doesn't matter which phase. If you're 16 and older, as of which is next Wednesday, currently it's 60 years of age and older, and there's a big group of 16 and older with multiple medical problems or fit in criteria where they work in a situation where they're front facing to a lot of the public, grocery store workers, restaurant workers, those type of things. So not open for the general public until next week. But I think if people look at the list, especially people who are older, there are things like hypertension is one of those things, and obesity is one of those risk factors. Well, if most of us have gained a little bit of weight during COVID, I know I have, and somebody who has hypertension and has gained 20 pounds during the last year of COVID, they probably actually qualify currently. So they should look at where they qualify. They should, if they feel like they qualify now, they should sign up. Otherwise, it'll be totally open as of April 15th.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, David.
Oh, thanks. Dr. Larson, a couple questions on the variants. I guess my first question is there enough data yet available to indicate whether the 3 vaccines that are being used are effective on these, both the UK and the California variants? Do we know enough about that, or are we?
That's
primarily people who haven't been vaccinated.
That's a great question. So currently, the variant of most concern in regards to vaccination is the P1 variant, which was initially found in Brazil. And we have not, I think we've had 1 or 2 cases in Washington state of the P1 variant. And people that are flying from Brazil or flying from South Africa, those folks are actually having to quarantine for 14 days. So those diseases are not spreading very much. The B117 variant and the 2 variants, the 427 and the 429 from California do appear to be to have coverage from the vaccine, but we are seeing some concerns about decreased antibody response and antibody resistance to those variants. So some question about if the coverage is as good as it had been. Thus, the more reason for people, the sooner we can get the vaccine in arms, the less likely those people are not going to get variant disease, and then they're not going to spread it to others. In follow-up to that, we have seen a few cases of vaccine breakthrough. So we've seen a few cases of people who were fully vaccinated. So we have had people that got a vaccine, let's say they got a vaccine on Friday and they got sick on Monday. Well, that person obviously was infected before then. So we've had a few cases of people that have gotten COVID-19 after their first vaccination, but we I've had a couple of cases that we're looking at currently, that people that are fully vaccinated that have COVID-19 again. And my expectation is those people will have variant disease once we actually get those samples sequenced.
Well, thank you for that. One question I was curious about, and I think CDC has guidance on this, but as far as individuals who have already been vaccinated, is it still recommended that people continue to wear masks in public and follow the other social distancing recommendations?
We should continue to wear masks in public because for a couple of reasons. Number one, no vaccine, even a vaccine that's 95% effective or 99% effective at preventing serious disease, it's not 100%. And we have a lot of people still in our community. If we've only vaccinated 20% of the people in our community fully, that means there's 80% of people in our community that are not fully vaccinated. So those people are still at risk. Now, if you are fully vaccinated, we had a couple over for Easter, and the 5 of us were fully vaccinated, and we had a wonderful Easter dinner, Easter brunch, unvaccinated, could see people's faces. It was wonderful, and I think we will get there, but we're not quite there yet. So we are asking people to be vaccinated. The other issue is we really don't know who's vaccinated. So, unless people are willing to tell you that they're vaccinated, we don't know who's protected and who isn't protected.
Great, thank you. Last thing I'd say real quickly is my number came up last week. I was finally eligible. I got an appointment. I just wanted to thank you and, of course, Tristan and everyone at County Health for, I was just amazed at how well organized and how well run the vaccination center was at the fairgrounds. There wasn't a single detail that was missed from the moment you came into the parking lot to the moment you left the door. And I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of volunteers and just staff of all kinds. I encourage anyone in the community who has any reservations about this, just when you can get it and it's available to you, definitely do it. But I really, really do think that you guys have done just a phenomenal job on this, and thank you for that.
Thank you very much. It's truly one of those examples that it takes a village. If you look around at the people that are working in there are retired people in there. There are high school students in there. There are people from the hospital that are in there. I mean, there are people from the churches in there. I mean, it is really an amazing example of what we have here in Kittitas County.
Well said. Thank you. That's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, again, Dr. Larson, thanks so much for taking your time to update us and all the folks that are streaming and participating in the meeting. It's really helpful data, I think, and information. Again, I think one of the takeaways for the community is any rollback is going to be a challenge. Recognize that is, and also hear the message that it's part of the process. It's not that it's negative necessarily, but it's just recognizing that we are moving through the process to get to a point where we have the capacity to move into phase 3 and sustain that effort. Hopefully then, because I'm still not sure that phase 4 has been created. But anyway, I think to recognize that what I'm hearing is that there's a fair shot we can roll back. We need to recognize that it's temporary. We need to recognize that it's reviewed, and that the way we will get back to where we are now is by continuing to distance, mask, and recognize that the disease is still here, and vaccinate. So again, thank you for taking the time to give us that message and the information. With that,
nice to see you all.
So thank you, Mark. That brings us then down to citizen comment on non-agenda items. Let me sort of switch screens. This is an opportunity for members of the public to approach council over items over which we have purview or control. This You will have 3 minutes. Recognize that as you're doing so, that we ask that you be civil and respectful. If you're in the audience, we would just need you to raise your virtual hand or raise your hand. You'll be recognized. We'll call on you, unmute you, and then you will have 3 minutes. Also, be aware that council does not interact at this point during the meeting, nor will we take action on any matter that's brought before us during non-agenda items. With that, is there anyone who wishes to approach council during this time? So I've got Paula McMinn. Well, let's see, I just lost you.
I'm not sure what happened. It just, she left.
Yeah. So Paula, if you can hear, I'm still showing you on my screen, actually twice. And I saw your hand go up, but then lost you. Okay, so I'm now seeing a muted mic. Let's try it. Paula, can you hear?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got it. That's great. Thank you. Thanks for sticking with us on that one.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry I missed all the sidelines in the Daily Record, and I did read.
Well, so if I may, I need address, your name,
Oh, I'm
address,
sorry,
and whether you're speaking for yourself or
I know,
others.
right?
I
Yeah.
forgot to say that. That's my bad.
Yeah, well, it's new to me too. I mean, not to you, but me. Paula McMahon, 2000 North Olive Street, Ellensburg, Washington. I'm an activist. I've come before this council meeting before when you were considering city managers, and I'm coming before you again in that vein. And I've done a little bit of research. It's not a lot, but I think that if I had to choose from among the three that you have been considering, I would consider Heidi first. The city of Tumwater has cooperated with their county and other cities in their county, in Thurston County, and they actually have a city and county climate action plan. And so she might know some of those ropes if our city is interested in, as you said, Mayor, to treat children, to make sure that they are free of 3 items. And one of them was, anyway, that's really all I have to say. I do wish that, that's neither here nor there on that point. So thank you so much for all your time and consideration in these matters. I'm hearing some very good things in this city council meeting tonight, which I haven't heard before. And by the way, David, I like your beard. Thank you.
Thank you. We won't act on that either. Does anyone else wish to approach council? Okay, I'm seeing no one at this point. Then we will move on. We're now at 11A. If you're in your packet or following online, we're at page 126 in the packet. This is a report back on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission member appointment process.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Can you all hear me?
We can, and we've got visual.
Nicole Klaus, Public Information Officer for the City of Ellensburg. I'm here tonight to talk about the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission member appointment process. So the goal today is just to review the process and ask questions if you have them. So as you all know, you approved Ordinance 4871 at your March 1st meeting, establishing the creation of a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Commission. At that point, the city posted the... You lost me?
No, here you go. It's breaking up a little bit, but you're good.
Okay, sorry. The application and ordinance was posted to the city's website and social media in an attempt to get applications. So when the agenda packet first went out last week, we had 30 applications A couple more came in before the deadline on Friday, so the online agenda packet now has the updated report with the current number of applications, which is 34. So the attachment of the applicant list should have all 34 names on there for your for consideration. So the DEI subcommittee, made up of Mayor Tab and council members Lilquist and Goodlow, worked to develop an interview process for these interested applicants. The first step will be to send out a SurveyMonkey with the following 4 written interview questions to all these applicants, just to get a better idea of how they fit the descriptions of what the ordinance was calling for its members to have. So the first question reads, Ordinance 4871 calls for a mix of commission members who represent communities diverse in age, skin color, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, or disability. Based on the description above, what community would you propose to represent as a member of the commission? Please describe your connection to that community. So that just takes language directly from the ordinance and asks them to identify with what community they'll represent. The second question, the ordinance also calls for a commission members who represent business, nonprofit, or education sectors. Discuss how your professional and or volunteer experiences and community connections will be a benefit to the work of the commission. And we did add clarification that says, feel free to provide experiences and or connections outside of the above listed sectors in support of your application. The third question addresses the skills piece of the ordinance. So it reads, the city is also seeking commissioners who have skills or experience in analytics, translation, marketing, technology, human resources, or law. What skills and talents do you have that will further the mission of this commission? Feel free to provide experiences and or connections outside of the above listed skills in support of your application. And then the last question, how would you effectively reach and communicate with underrepresented or marginalized communities in the city of Ellensburg? So these questions will all go out in the SurveyMonkey to all of the applicants, and then from there, the DEI subcommittee will evaluate the responses and narrow that down to finalists that will advance to interviews. And then after the interviews, the subcommittee will make a recommendation to council for appointment of commission members. So the ordinance does say commission members will be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by a majority vote of the council. So that's the process where we're at now. We have not sent out the questions yet. Our goal is to do that tomorrow with your blessing today. So at this point, does anyone have any questions about the current process that the subcommittee has come up with?
Question, just if I may, so really what we're looking at is, I don't know that we need a formal motion, but just council's awareness of the 4 questions that we're asking folks to respond to. Any feedback you might have on those questions before they go out. We'll also work to make them available in alternative formats if people don't have access, for instance, to a SurveyMonkey or the ability to do that. And I also, as we're going through this, I want to thank everybody. I know some of the folks that have applied for the commission are attending the meeting this evening. It is just an overwhelming response. I've been on council not nearly as long as Nancy Lilquist, but my guess would be that neither of us would have a recollection of when we have ever established a commission or asked for membership where we've had this type of community response and the numbers of people that have applied to do this work. So I want to thank everyone who took the time to apply and hopefully respond to the SurveyMonkey questions and recognize that we really felt like we needed to put the questions out to folks simply because 34 people are a lot to try and begin to determine who the recommendations that the subcommittee would make to the full council. And so we felt like if we did a 2-step process, we'd have the opportunity for a review and then move to the interview process, which would lead to the formal recommendations for appointment.
A question.
John or Terry, do you feel like we need a motion on the questions, or do we? I'm looking at and hearing no comment and seeing consensus. Are we good with just doing that, do you think?
I think you're good with just the discussion. I don't believe the subcommittee anticipated requiring actions to move forward.
Right.
I had
Okay.
a question
Just
actually on
making sure we're good.
the Survey Monkey
Yeah.
format.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the Survey
So-
Monkey is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so at Survey Monkey is just, we can put these same questions on there and we email it out to folks and then they can fill it out online. But as Bruce mentioned, we can also send it to them in a different format if that doesn't work for them.
Sure. So my question on the Survey Monkey is is there a field attached to each question where the applicant can write, and is there some limit on characters?
Yes, we've put a 500-word limit on each question, except for the first and last name. That's a lot shorter.
So is the first question set up with are these identified as multiple choices, or someone will just fill in one of these in the field?
They'll fill it in on their own. We want to let some people may identify with multiple selections that they want to call attention to, so we're going to let them self-identify.
Okay. In essence, David, the
I think
setup
that's
is text. It's a narrative. It's a narrative format, basically.
Right. Sure.
So it's
Yeah, my only thought,
it's not
I think that, yeah, no, sorry.
No, go ahead. We're good.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think I like that, and I think it's preferable. I think the first question sort of does lend itself to click as many as are applicable, but I think the second part of that is important. That is, or the middle part, I guess, because as you've said, a person could represent more than one community or one group. But I think that's fine. I think it's fine. You'll get what you want from that narrative.
Great, thanks. Any other comments before we move on? Nicole, I want to thank you again, one, for stepping in to the role that you've stepped into, for
Amen.
continuing to starting you're off with a smile and a willingness to work with cranky older people, and to get us to the point where we're ready to roll the process forward. So thank you.
Thanks.
So that'll move us then to 11B. This is the artwork for the bus shelter. We're on page 129 in your agenda packet. Josephine.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Josephine Camarillo, Library Director and Arts Commission Staff Liaison Interim. In the fall of 2020, the Arts Commission was notified by Public Works that an 11th bus shelter will be added. And they asked the Arts Commission if they would like to install glass art, as with the other 10 shelters that were installed. So in December 2020, a call for art was announced seeking artists to design artwork for the 11th shelter to be located in front of the public library with a theme reflecting the year 2020. The Arts Commission met on February 25th, 2021, reviewed 4 submissions, and voted and accepted the Shelley family proposal. The Arts Commission recommends City Council approve the selected artwork for printing and installation for the 11th bus shelter.
Great, thank you. Council.
Is there a way to show that?
Yeah, I could bring it up on my screen.
I think that would
I think it'd be good.
be nice. It's beautiful.
And there it is. And so because the 11th bus shelter is supposed to be in front of the public library, and their family are library goers and they love books and reading, they kind of reflected their 2020 experience based on what books did for them, helped them through 2020.
Great, thank you. Council.
They're a local family from Kittitas.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud, just as we're going through this, if you're following the city's Facebook, Nicole has been pushing out daily the different artwork that's around on the bus shelters. And it's remarkable the number of people locally whose art are now represented on those shelters. You know, and they're just incredible, truthfully.
Yes.
But anyway, so we do need a motion.
I
I'm
love
sorry.
it, and so I would move approval of the selected artwork for the 11th bus shelter for printing and installation in spring 2021.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve selected artwork for the 11th bus shelter for printing and installation in spring 2021. Is there any further discussion? Again, I just want to thank the Arts Commission, Josephine, for facilitating this process, and really thank the family for, I mean, it looks to me as if it was a family project in terms of the images that are presented there. So it's just a really great addition to our shelter art. And thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I too vote aye, that motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Josephine.
Thank you.
So that'll bring us to manager's report. So I need to note as we're going into this that we will be going into executive session for 20 minutes at the end. And we'll get to that. So what I'd ask council for us to do would be to have the manager's report, do our council member reports, then we will go into executive session. And we'll call out the reason for doing so.
Mr. Mayor, Council, just a couple of quick items on the report this evening. Under the agreement that we hold with Waste Management for solid waste handling in the community, they are required to annually do a spring and fall cleanup. That involves the providing of a coupon to all of their customers within the city limits of the city of Ellensburg. Those coupons have gone out. Most people have already received them, and the time slated for the cleanup is between April 10th and 17th. And with the coupon and proof of residence, you're entitled to one free dump run at the Ellensburg transfer station. So that will be starting soon. If folks are in a situation where they're unable to deal with the refuse that they would like to have disposed, they can call the city of Ellensburg at 509-962-7230, and we will have street department folks out able to help folks that are disabled and unable to deal with their refuse. Second item is just an informational piece. A closed record public hearing has been scheduled for your next meeting on April 19th to consider a site-specific rezone submitted by Joseph Hochter on a parcel that he owns at 1500 Vantage Highway. If the rezone is approved by council following the closed record hearing, you'll be provided with enabling ordinance language for first reading to implement the rezone. You'll recall Chief Wade recently presented information to you about a partnership that he was entering into with Dr. David Douglas related to substance abuse assistance. That is underway. It involves a number of components, including training and actual field support of officers that have identified folks that would benefit from an intervention. In the short time that it's been in existence, Dr. Douglas has met with a few people referred by EPD officers. One person ended up going to detox, and two more have gone into treatment. This relationship is identified in a situation that occurred with Dr. Douglas, where he encountered an individual that had been reached out to by the Ellensburg Police Department with handout literature that gave them access to receive information from Dr. Douglas, and that outreach did occur, and the individual is in treatment locally and scheduled to go inpatient. So it's a great program. It seems to be working, and both Chief Wade and Dr. Douglas are encouraged by the performance so far. Last item.
John, just before we get off of that, I just want to also note there was a Facebook post that EPD put out indicating that we have a trained officer in de-escalation techniques around behavioral health.
Yeah.
One of the few police departments who have internal capacity to provide that training. The
correct.
picture that accompanied it showed the training occurring for a couple of the officers. And again, I think it's just recognizing the ability for EPD to look at the behavioral health pieces as well as the substance abuse pieces, and the different elements that can contribute to someone having an encounter with EPD, but also taking the steps potentially that can change the nature of that encounter to one that does not become violent, does not necessarily result in incarceration, but may actually get the individual the support that's needed for them to get back on track in their life. So I think we need to recognize that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Last item is just to call attention to a state DOT project that is actually started today. It's anticipated that it's going to take about 2 months to complete, and that is the roundabout construction, which would be on the Spokane on-ramp. It will be a smaller roundabout than the one that exists at the West Interchange, and DOT is preparing a website, project website, so that you'll be able to go to that site and find out information about the schedule and what's going on. And then we'll also link to that website off our city public works project page as soon as we know how the DOT plans to list it. In your agenda at the end of the report is the first 3-week schedule. I apologize for the quality of that, but they should be posting their schedule online so folks can go and see what's going on. Some of the work will occur at night in order to minimize the disruption to the traveling public. And I think that's it for me this evening. Mayor Tabb did reference the exec session. There are actually 3 items scheduled for discussion in that executive session, and I'll just quickly go through, if I can get there. I'll just quickly go through those topics. The first involves collective bargaining, and it's being conducted under the authority of RCW 4230-140. The second is related to real estate issues related to pricing and final action for selling or leasing public property. Those first 2 components, there is no action anticipated at the end of the executive session. The third item relates to the evaluation of qualifications of an applicant for public employment authorized under RCW 4230-110 sub 1 sub G. And it is likely the council will want to take some kind of an action at the close of the executive session on this issue. So with that, I'm done. Be glad to respond to questions.
Great. Any questions? Let's move to council reports, get those, and then we'll go into an executive session. Nancy Lillquist, you want to start?
Sure. I'll just report that the Yakima Basin Fish and Wildlife Recovery Board has a new grant coordinator, so some staffing changes. And also they've been working on a habitat restoration outreach guide that will hopefully get some print copies for distribution by our community development department, where landowners who come in for permits or whatever can access that if they're interested in bettering the habitat for if they're adjacent to a stream. The Airport Advisory Committee for Kittitas County is also had some staff changes, and they are continue to work on their strategic plan and have nearly completed some updates on their lease language. The Developmental Disabilities Advisory Committee, I'll just note that it is Autism Awareness Month in April, and actually they're trying to rebrand that to Autism Acceptance Month. And the theme for this year is Light Up with Kindness. And the Utility Advisory Committee, we've continued our discussion for broadband, and have a subcommittee that will make some recommendations to the full UAC and probably come to the council to discuss updating the broadband plan. And just to note that the Board of County Commissioners will have a public hearing regarding mental health on April 14th at 6 p.m.
And that's the 1/10 of 1%.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. Okay, and again, and just quickly, if folks aren't aware, wouldn't be a bad meeting to attend. The 1/10 of 1% can be voted on by the commissioners. It's a sales tax increase that's dedicated to substance abuse and behavioral health support countywide. And so I think that's the discussion that would be occurring.
Right, and it is a public hearing, so there'll be formal protocols for testifying.
Right, right. And then they've put off, actually, it's not often. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they've put it off for more than a year.
Yeah. Something about a pandemic. Stacy,
No report.
that was simple. Nancy, good luck.
Yeah, just a little bit. I attended the Law and Justice Committee meeting. The Community Recovery Committee is continuing to meet and trying to evaluate what our role is going to be going forward, or whether or not we should go out of business, so to speak. We have been organized and providing funding to the community for almost a year. So one of the questions we have, and we're trying to find out some answers, if any of the CARES money coming down from the city could be used by our commission or our committee to help fill in the gaps where people are caught and they don't qualify when they go through the application process at other agencies. Utility Advisory Committee is moving forward, as Nancy said. It's a pretty exciting time for that group. At least it is for me as a member of that committee. I think we're doing some good work. Some good things are going to come out of it. And I participated in the city manager interviews, and the DEI subcommittee has been working on our process and questions. And that's all.
Great, thank you. David?
Yeah, quickly, I attended Landmarks and Design. This time of year, there seems to be more activity for people around downtown. There are some projects underway, so it's always encouraging to see that. Also attended COG. We're in the process of scoring and reviewing the applications for funding for this year. And then also attended homeless and affordable housing. And then I also attended the city manager interviews last week, 2 days worth. So it was my week.
Go figure. Thank you. Kristen?
Today marks the first day of National Public Health Week, which no one in public health has the capacity to celebrate this week. But and no report.
Great, thanks. So just a couple things. Stacy and I had an opportunity to actually do a Zoom call with a couple of economic development consultants that are going to at least sketch out a potential, I don't know what we'd call it, but ultimately could lead to a countywide economic development plan. Commissioner Wright was also on that call. But the hope actually is to ultimately get COG invested in the conversation, also the different municipalities as well as the community itself. To Nancy's point about the community recovery and the money coming down from the feds, there's approximately 4.6 million that's headed our way. If you've tracked, the state legislature has allocated whatever the billions are as part of the supplemental budget, which means then that should allow that money to begin to flow. This community is small enough still that we will need to get the money probably through commerce. Some of the larger cities, I was on a call this afternoon morning sometime with the mayor of Wenatchee. Their money comes down directly from the feds, ours does not. I was on a call with the governor, with a couple other mayors in Eastern Washington and his liaison. And part of the conversation that we had was supporting us in this community, in this county, to have the flexibility to be able to move those dollars in ways that we know address the issues that exist in our community, to not add additional parameters as it passes through commerce or the legislature. It's difficult really at this point. And then I had a subsequent call this afternoon with Representative Schreier's office and the Eastern Washington mayors in her district. Was a little disappointed because I feel as if we're continuing to really not get a lot of direction from the feds other than these broad categories, right? It can be used for childcare, it can be used for rental assistance, it can be used for broadband, it can be used for infrastructure, all of which are fine, but we don't know what that means. Is it 60% area median income for rent? To your point, Nancy, or is it for people who have washed out? Can we use it to stabilize people over the long term because the money's coming down over 4 years? Do we just blow it out on a broadband pot? But there's just not clarity at this point. Though there was some conversation that the money could be moving out of Olympia within the next 30 days. So it is moving forward. I think that's all for me. Let's then move into executive session. Terry, do I need to repeat the reasons we're going in, or is John's sufficient?
John's reading is sufficient, and it's in the agenda packet as well.
Okay, great. So we're going to move into executive session. Just a reminder, we'll be in for 20 minutes. It's 8:02. Why don't we reconvene at 8:05? Plan on coming out of exec by 8:25. And just a reminder for council, you've got to jump out of this meeting. You should have a link into the executive committee meeting that Terry had sent earlier. And I'll see you in a few minutes. Thank you. You did it. You got here quickly. So is everybody here that needs to be? Let's see, we've got 4. I don't see David yet or Nancy G. David's here, great. And Nancy Goodlow's back. Okay, so we're going to come out of executive session. There is action anticipated regarding I don't know. So let's just start the discussion.
Oh, well, I'll start with a motion if
Okay,
that's
that'll work.
appropriate.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
I'll move to authorize the mayor's signature on the draft contract with Heidi Barron-Cernaway for the city manager position.
I second.
That was a chorus of seconds. So we have motion and second to authorize mayor's signature on the draft contract.
Mr. Mayor, the contract will be final.
Yeah, we would need it on a contract.
Yeah, it will be a final version.
Right.
Okay. I will accept that friendly amendment.
Great. So we have motion second to authorize mayor's signature on contract engaging Heidi. I don't have her last name in front of me. For the position of city manager for the city of Ellensburg. Is there further discussion?
Yeah,
Nancy,
I'll
do you want-
speak.
Well,
Go
that's
ahead,
the
Nancy.
maker of the motion go, and then we'll.
I was very impressed with Ms. Barron-Cernaway, and she, her application was exciting, and she seems very enthusiastic. Her letters of recommendation from people that she has worked with in Lacey and Tumwater and elsewhere were absolutely glowing. And my sense was that the other 2 interview groups, aside from the council interview group, were equally as impressed as I was with how she interviewed. So though, I guess those are my reasons for supporting her.
Thanks. Stacy?
Yeah, and I guess maybe just a little additional information there for people that may still be listening is that the council was one group that interviewed the candidates, but then there was a group of staff members and then a group of community members. And each candidate kind of went through all 3 groups. And I would concur with Nancy that the feedback we received from those groups was overwhelmingly in support of Heidi. And I put a lot of focus and emphasis on the fit for Ellensburg. I think that a person could defend that all the candidates were qualified professionally, but I think that it's important. There's a lot of factors and qualities that make Ellensburg really unique. And that's why we're all drawn to it and enjoy being here. And so I wanted to ensure that the next manager fit what we loved about Ellensburg and what we're looking, how we want to make it better and improve on, and the things that we love already and we want to keep and retain and protect. And so I thought that Heidi suited that best. And so that's why I seconded the motion and think that we should hire her.
Thank you. Anyone else with comment? David?
Yeah, I'll echo the earlier comments. I think it is the community should be excited about this opportunity we have. I think that it's hard to get anyone, I think when you put 3 groups together, meaning the council, a group of community leaders and department heads, it's hard to imagine we could all agree on anything. But the idea that Ms. Barron-Cernaway was a unanimous first ballot choice, if you will, And I think just speaks very highly of her. But also, I think we're all in the community. I think we're all looking for the same things in many ways. So I think I'm excited about it. I think too, I would also agree with the sentiment that we were fortunate that we had 3 candidates, each of whom would be capable of doing the job. But I think at the end of the day, we found the best fit for Ellensburg, and I really am excited and very pleased with the outcome. So I will be supporting this hire. Thank you.
Can I just maybe correct a perception that I think David just suggested, that there was a vote from the committees, and the committees were careful to provide us strengths and weaknesses of each candidate and not rank the candidates in any way.
Yes,
just
yes, absolutely.
make sure that folks understand that there wasn't a vote from any of the committees.
Thank you for that. Let me characterize that by my own personal impression of the 3 or of the 2 committees was that our selection is the consensus favorite. So
I agree with that.
Kristen, did you?
Yeah, I'll be quick. I just want to, we still have John for a little bit, but I know we're all wishing him well in his retirement. I know he's excited for that next step, but there is a loss to the city and his staff with his departure. And I think that the selected candidate will continue to honor the city and empower staff. I was really impressed with the feedback from city staff, and she was just overall, she blew me away. She was an incredibly impressive candidate. So I'm looking forward to working with her.
Yeah, Nancy.
I agree with everything that's been said. I wanted to compliment Cindy Smith on the process and whoever she worked with to set that up. I would hate to have been a candidate. It was a very intense day. They had 3 different long sessions with 3 different groups, and but I appreciate the time and effort that was put into the process. It ran very smoothly, and I just want to thank staff for that and to express my excitement with the hire. I think Ellensburg will be pleased with the leadership that we get from Heidi.
Thank you. And actually, looks like the game is now in fact over, Nancy, so you can jump up and do whatever it was you did before.
Yes, I know the result now. I'm still happy.
You can't even hold your grin in. Look at you.
Can I comment on just the action is to sign a contract, and
right,
which will be made available to the public, I guess. But I just want to comment that the provisions in the contract are consistent with how we treat other staff at this level to when they come to the city of Ellensburg. So and it's kind of industry standard kind of severances and things like that we don't all get that kind of treatment, but it is industry standard.
Right, thank you. I actually don't have much to add, believe it or not, but because I think, well, I see that look, but
mark it on the calendar.
Right. Well, I mean, I think y'all did just a really good job of summarizing what brought us to the point where we feel comfortable in this motion and moving forward. And I think a lot of it will be recognized as she settles into the office and starts working with council in this community. And so I think it's a good time. I appreciate the work that John has done, but not just the work that you've done, but also at this point, the support that you've had in making this transition a non-traumatic and actually encouraged both council and I think staff to recognize that you were moving on, but also at the same time providing for that transition and a strong transition. I appreciate that. So thank you. With that, we do have a motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I too vote aye. That motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations, Heidi, if you're streaming this. Look forward to seeing you. Folks, if folks know, if we, assuming everything moves forward, her first day of actual work here will be May 17th. So with that, I think we're good to go. See you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Ben.
I think